Romans 8 verse 14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God. As mentioned yesterday, I hope God will reward me with time. Because I put it back on another kind of sowing with faith, I believe that God will reward me with time and understanding. Because when I was counseling and preaching, try to sow the seeds of understanding as much as possible. Therefore, in terms of salary, it must not be calculated based on our workload for the month, instead, it is calculated based on contribution amount. Therefore, the sowing must be fair and transparent in number. You should always pay attention to yourself. Where is the loss, and where is the gain? Instead of throwing all the items into one formula, just rely on God to help calculate. In this case, aren't you a god on this earth? If you don't calculate, no one will help you figure. We don't have to calculate it, do you understand? Take AI as an example. In this virtual game, even the calculator is in ruins. Will the calculator still be helpful after leaving the game? You have abandoned your calculator every time there were miscalculations or too many excuses. Many things need to be carefully calculated. Don't you make calculations? The church has a finance department, VT virtual technology, even my husband can calculate. But you won't even know how to add numbers in heaven. Can you really accept it? Since you can't accept it, you have to correct it. Does it really need to be so comprehensive? Yes. Life should be so comprehensive. Because who are we to be like? Like a scarab beetle? Or like a gecko? We are to be like God. But many people only live like geckos' shrewdness. Therefore, life is so complicated and full of colorful choices. Let you cultivate God's character and life. All because this is a reward. In this way, you will have the opportunity to come into contact with some of God's characters. In fact, the more complicated life is, the better. The more impact, the better. The more responsibilities, the better. The more changes, the better. The more unexpected, the better. In the process, every unexpected time, you have to think immediately. How do I respond? How do I repay that? As you can see, over the years, I have encountered many incidents and always think about how to respond immediately. And how should I respond and help those around me? Because this is like a God. Do you really think that many of you, if you go to heaven, are you on the same level as me? For example, in the past, in the wilderness, the people thought they were on the same level as Joshua. When Joshua was fighting everywhere in Canaan, they are already in the grave. Is this still the same level? Because he thought he was at the same level as others, that's why you disdain to do these things, right? You still have a life today. You feel disdain to do these things. But in eternity, there is no life. Your so-called disdain is not worth a dime. Compared with the servant of God, you may be just a grass in heaven. Are you still disdainful? In this way, you will understand Joshua's attitude towards Moses. Especially why he is the only one who can do this, not a group of people. When we sow, sowing cannot be understood solely in terms of substance and quantity, it must be understood by personality and human nature. Every time you respond, take responsibility, offer and give. If it is sown materially, it corresponds to the corresponding substance. Make a peace every month, same as healing, mercy, wealth, and time. Furthermore, never use the exchange method. For example, the exchange in the War Robots game is chaotic. If you want to exchange it, you will suffer a considerable loss. No matter how many billions are spent to upgrade, when sold, only a few 100,000 can be recovered. Exchange hundreds of millions for hundreds of thousands? Is there any mistake? Unexpectedly, it turns out that God also exchanged it in this way. Therefore, you should never think of exchanging your labor for a monthly salary. In fact, it doesn't work. it must be done to calculate the quality. If it is made up of quality, it is undoubtedly the most difficult. However, don't exchange between different types, refrain from exchanging financial resources with your labor. Calculation as full-time church staff. It should be based on your contribution to the church or save financial resources, etc. Use these to redeem your salary. For so many years, I thought it was just my personal understanding. Later, as I grew older, I realized that this was really the case, because the sowing needs to be clearly separated. It cannot be exchanged with different types. Why can't this be done? Do you know? Because those are the areas you can reach, everything you can reach, God also predestined where you can contribute. In this way, you can achieve comprehensive. If all the areas you contact are solved in the same way, like some rich people, he comes into contact with everything. All solved in the same way, with money. In fact, these people are often just useless people. Just imagine what will they become when they go to heaven? Have you seen the difference between the rich man and Lazarus? The latter is a beggar and does better than the rich. Because the rich man mistakenly thinks spending money will exchange everything. It can pass everything, but in fact, it is not. Undoubtedly, money really works on the ground. However, it is actually a temptation and a deception. So, God allows us to come into contact with many things. For example, some rich people use money to solve the problems of marriage and raising children. In the end, does he have a good marriage and family? Admittedly not. This tells us that this is a judgment of character. Romans 8 verse 14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God.
My wants and my needs shall never replace my purity. My hopes, all I dream, I shall place completely at your feet. My hopes, all I dream, I shall place completely at your feet. My King.